Would you like to learn VueJS in just about an hour? How about getting started from scratch? Well, then our class is for you. Hi, my name is Joe Paris, the best-selling online instructor. Together, working with my co-teacher Javid, we're going to share with you how to get started with VueJS. Now, if you're used to JavaScript or if you've worked with JavaScript before, you're really going to enjoy this class. We also have designed this class for beginners. This is a quick, short course that is going to take you through an introduction to VueJS. Here's what you're going to learn by enrolling in our course today. You're first going to learn an introduction to VueJS. Then we're going to go through the installation processes with you, the watchers and the computed properties, statements and loops, events and methods, components, and so much more. Now, we always want our students to feel comfortable when making a purchase. That's why we've uploaded multiple free preview videos for you to view anytime. Also, we offer you a 30-day money-back guarantee. You've absolutely nothing to risk, but everything to gain by enrolling in our course. It's time to take action. This offer won't last forever. Go ahead, click that Buy Now button, and we will see you in the course. Thanks again for enrolling. Hello and congratulations and welcome to our VueJS course. My name is Joe Paris, the best-selling online instructor, but my co-teacher Javid is going to take you through the rest of the videos here. This is the Joe Paris Academy class, meaning I partner up with multiple teachers from all around the world to bring you some incredible information. Now, after our introduction here, you're going to get an introduction to VueJS, and then Javid is going to take you through the rest of this class. This is a beginner's class, guys. It's very quick, short. It gives you some great information. We didn't want to overwhelm you, so that's what we have in store. Now, if you've enjoyed this class, guys, we really appreciate your support, and I'm going to now let Javid take over, and we'll see you very soon. Wait, stop. Hold on. Now, in the next couple of videos, guys, I know you might be prompted for a review. We always appreciate your feedback and support by adding a review to our class. This is one of the best ways to receive feedback, and we really appreciate your support. We also understand if you're not ready to add a review at this time. You can always come back at the end of the class to add your review. Thanks again for your feedback and reviews. Now go ahead, enjoy the class, and we'll see you very soon.
Hey, what's up and welcome to the VueJS developer course. So what we learn VueJS from scratch. VueJS is the JavaScript framework, which is one of the most commonly used and powerful framework in the world. VueJS is quite simple and lightweight, and which help us to build single page applications or user interfaces, right? So we'll be starting from the very basics of VueJS, like the installation, the Vue Instance, data binding, watchers and computed properties, conditional loops, events and methods, Vue components, and a lot more. And let's get started and let's have fun and start this amazing journey of this framework with me today. Okay, welcome back and let's get started with VueJS. So what basically we need to start with VueJS? We need a browser and we need a text editor, and I'm using Sublime in my case, where you can just go ahead and download it from any link, which you can just Google. This is the official site for Sublime, and you can just download it for any operating system, right? This is a quite lightweight. So this is already downloaded and installed with me. So there it is, which we can working. And what next? For example, now I'm on my desktop. If I just go ahead and create a new folder, and I will call this VueJS, which already exists somewhere. If I just make it Vue, and then if I just open my text editor, okay, and then if I just drag this VueJS folder in my text editor, you can see it's working. And if I just go ahead and create a new file called index.html, and let me just paste the basic skeleton of HTML, and we're learning VueJS. And if I just make it hello world, and if I just go to desktop and open this project real quick, you can see we just got hello world. Now how we can install VueJS? So we just go to browser and open the official website of VueJS, which is always great for learning as well. So this is the best place if you want to learn VueJS in more depth. If you just click on get started, and you can see this is the definition. The VueJS is a progressive framework for building user interfaces. Like you can see we have the definitions and getting started notes, and what we do is we can just work with development version and production version as well. So if I just copy the production version, but basically you can just copy this version. This is better for development. For some reason I will just copy this, and then you can just paste it anywhere on your HTML document. You can just paste it right here, and the end of the document, just right here, right? Let me just get rid of hello world, and if I just save this and refresh this, there it is. And make sure when you work with these type of frameworks, you just need to open your developer tools for debugging all the other stuff. Now if I just get rid of a little bit, if I just make a mistake, so I think in my console I can get an error, the kind of not found it, right? And let me just correct it and refresh. It works. Okay, what next? Now let's just get started with the real Vue.js. We'll open script tag and then close script tag, and inside the script tag we'll write our Vue.js coding. And if we just go to the documentation, you can see we have VueJS instance. If we just check it, Vue Instance, this is the Vue Instance that we will learn, which basically following MVV model view and view model pattern, right? There it is. This is the documentation. You can learn a lot from the documentation, and this is the preferred way. Okay, let's get started. So here's my text editor, and I've been opened my script tag, and then if I just say, for instance, let me just create a variable var app equals to new view, because view is included, so it will see the object. And then what we need to do is we'll pass an element el, and then give it the div that we will be work with. For instance, this is app that is not created yet. Let me just go ahead and create real quick. If I just create div with ID of app, and I'll work inside this app. Now this is the area we will be work, and this is the element that we are referencing it, right? This is the main part that we will be work. Okay, so then we have data that we can kind of pass any data inside, the data. This is the basically div that we can work and then pass the data right here. Okay, sorry for the poor drawings. And then we can say we have a message. For example, I can write a property which contains a lot of properties, and then we have message. Let me just write hello world, and then how we can call this message. If we just still go ahead and refresh this, you can see there is nothing. So these both are connected with them. So this is our instance, Vue instance, and which contains the element which is app, and we can now write any data properties right inside app. So we can say message, and if you just refresh, there it is. We just got hello world. There are some methods that Vue contains once the, for example, once the instance is ready, or once the for instance, we can say created. We can just use created, right? And there are a lot of methods like mounted or updated, update or destroyed, right? These types, sorry for the spelling mistake, these type of methods that we will be trying to use few of them. Created means what, for example, what is it does is it will written, for instance, console. If I just say console log and say hello, if I just refresh, you can see we just got an error, undefined identifier. Yeah, because we need to make it kind of function, an anonymous function. A function always returns something. There it is. We just got hello inside it. Or we can say Vue instance is created, just like that, right? So that's how we can work the very basics of Vue.js. So that's how we can start. This is the Vue instance, which contains the element and data object, which contains the properties, and you can just make it array as well. And then we have some other properties, hooks. These are basically called hooks, that we have created hook, updated or destroyed or mounted hook, right? And these are pretty amazing. This is the Vue.js. This is the simplicity of Vue.js, the beauty of Vue.js, right? So that's it. And in our next video, we'll be cover some data bindings. Okay, let's just talk about the more features in Vue.js, the vouchers and computer properties. These are some kind of very special features in Vue.js. Okay, so let's just do it. There you can see we have our ID, which is working with, which is app, which is working with this instance of Vue.js, and we have our browser up and running right here. That's okay. Well, let's get started. So for instance, we have input type of text, and then we just need, let me just create two input type text. Now the first input would contain the first name, and then the next input would contain the last name. So in data, if I just say first name, I'll create two properties with first name, which is for example John, and the last underscore name, which equals to Doe. So let me just model them, first name, and then model last name, right? And if you just go back and refresh, you can see we just got first name and the last name. And let me just create an empty string which equals to nothing for now, and I would like to paste the empty string right here. This is kind of basically if I just, for instance, if I just say first name, it says John. If I just change it, you can see it's being changing. Let me just keep it in p tag or a div tag, so it would be break and looks better. Okay, so now you can see I can change the name, for instance any name, and I can even put the last name. I think it looks it works, but it does not make sense that we just put them like that, or in the case of first and last name. So in that case we use some kind of watchers or the computer properties. So let's have a look on watchers. Let me just create a watch is a special object. This is the watch, this is the syntax that we use. And then if I just create a first name function, right, and what it returns is, it returns this dot name. This is basically, we are just referencing this name right here to here, right? This is the basically, this refers to this instance, which is app right here, or data right here. Okay, well, this dot name equals to this dot first name, and we want to concatenate them and combine them. And then if I just say this dot last name, right, let me just zoom it out a little bit, and if I just copy the exact same thing and then paste it, and let me just rename it with last name, right? And then finally we just created a new hook which is created, and then it'll pass an anonymous function. What it does is it will return this name equals to this dot first underscore name, and I want to concatenate that. And this time if I just say for this dot last underscore name, and if I just put semicolon at the end, and if I just go back and then refresh, it works. And this time I don't think so this property is working right here. First name is working, this is probably last name. So let's go ahead and check real quick. We just have first name, last name, and then we just created or written this name which equals to this first name and concatenate with the last name. There's some probably last name, I think. Oh yeah, we just write it for first name exactly here. So if we just put name here, see how it works or not. Okay, that exactly worked the same way. And if we just say change the name, just like that, or we are learning some kind of name, for instance my name, right? So that's how it works. The two, this is kind of we just combine, we just concatenate two names. Let me just comment this or get rid of it, at least for now. Just get rid of it, and let me use some computed property and see how better it is than watcher, and that's in that case especially. So if we just say computed, and then what we need to do is we need to pass this is also an object, and then we need to say name, which would be an anonymous function. What it does is it will return this dot first name. Yeah, we just don't need name right here for now. Just delete the name right here, and we need first name which equals to this last name, just like that. And if you just go back and refresh, I think that works exactly the same way that we accept, right? So that's how it works. And we just learned about the computer properties and the watchers. These are spatial methods that could help us to kind of, we just need to work with these kind of for example, when we need to bind them, we just cannot bind them and concatenate them in the data properties. So we use these type of computer properties or things like that, right? And we can, let me just give you a little quick about the update method, updated, and then we just say, for instance, Once it's updated, just give us in console or any operation. You can just do any programming right here. So at least for now, if I just say updated, and let me just go ahead and refresh, and if I just go to console, we just have an unexpected token line number 35. It isn't it update. Let me just get rid of that real quick and then save, refresh, everything works, and this is updated, and then if I just pass an anonymous function which written or which equals to, yes, which will written some kind of console which has console log updated. If I just go back and then make some updates, there it is, it works. So how many times if I just write anything, it updates, right? So that's how we can work with these type of hooks. And our next video will be discussing more about a little bit the loops and the conditional statements in Vue.js. What's up guys, welcome back. So we'll just cover some kind of Vue.js, and then in this class we'll be learn the statements and then loops in Vue.js. So here's my text editor, and let me just get rid of the old codes right here, and then the instance, the tag right here. Okay, now how we can work with if statements. Now let's say for instance, if I just have paragraph tag which contains some kind of, let me just add if statements right here, and oh yeah, I just forget to add element, I just delete I think, and let me just add data. And then if I just say for instance, let me just work with books, and if I just make it true, and here right here if I just say v, and then we say v if books, so give me, if it is true, so give me the list of books, like we have 5 books. Refresh, I think we just got true. Let me just make it false, so it does not work, right? So if we just make it true, it works. And then I can even use, let me just get rid of it, and I can use the colons if, which is the directive for, you know, binding data. For directives we can just make it short by using this colons, right? And let me just do some few other examples. We say, let me just make it a value, for example full. So we say if the library of the books are full, or let me just change the example to, well, for example we have books in our library. If the library of books is full, just give us 5, else we can just use else condition as well. We can say else, just give us empty. If we just go back and refresh, we just lost, I think, let me just make this for now, we else. Okay, now we have 5 books because this condition is true right here. And if I just make it for instance empty, so you can see we just got, still we got 5. Let me just make it v if, so it's empty right now. Okay, and let me just talk about this later. And if we just make it for instance, we can just add a lot of conditions right here. So if we just say v if this time books equal to less, let me say we have few books, and let me just change the condition. If I just say less, refresh, you can say we have few books. So that's how we can work with. And if you just put anything like here, so it give us kind of else statement right here. If I just make it false, oh sorry about that, we just need to make it dash. And let me just check it this time. If I just put less, that works. And if I just make it empty or pass any variable, anything, that give us empty, right? So that's how it works, the if statements. And we basically need to make them inside template, and we'll try to discuss templates soon. And if I just open the template and then close the template just like that, and if I just go to browser and refresh, and if I just go to element this time, you can see it's without any tags or any paragraph. So this is how we can work with templates. This is without any div, without any p tag or any span. So template means this is kind of returns very empty stuff, right? Okay, now for instance, this time we will work with the loops, and if I just say comma and then let me just say collection of books, or we can say set of books, and then we have an array which contains math, for instance physics, and other subject like abstraction math and computer, just like that. And now how we can use loop. Now let's say for instance if our condition is false, if the library is empty, in that case just print the books right here. Okay, so what we do is we use p tag, and then we can say v for loop, and then we say book in set of books, and then just give us the book. And if we just refresh, you can see we just got the books which has math, physics, abstraction math, or you can still put them inside li tag for list item, just like that. And don't forget to put on order list right here. There it is, just like that, right? Okay, so that's how we can print the names of the book. And then we can also, let's say for example, if I just make it inside bracket, and we can just get the index as well, and we can call the index right here. If I just say index, there it is, we just got the index, right? And if I just put index plus 1, so it starts from 1. If I just make it 3, so it adds 3 and it starts from 3. So if we just make it 1, so that's how we can just get the index, right? And we can even get the key if it has, let me just call the key right here, and it does not has key. Let me just create a key for them. If you want to make them for a key, then I think don't let them inside array. Just like for instance we have math books, I think it's done print. Well, let me just cover this the keys in our very quick example, but for now just you understand the basic idea of how we can print the arrays inside loops using the v-for directive for VueJS, right? How simple and nice it is to work with VueJS and print this stuff. Okay, so key is basically we would just put the key for them and we can loop through them, sets of book, and we just need to put key just like that, right? Okay, so that's it for now. We just covered a lot of very basics of, because we're just learning the very basic. We just covered how if statement works and then loops in Vue.js, and in our next video we'll be cover some events and methods. Okay, welcome back. So we'll just learn some events in JavaScript using Vue.js. Basically, events in JavaScript are some kind of, what are events? If you're just confusing events, so don't worry. Events are just kind of clicking or hover somewhere, or just some kind of pressing any keyboard button. So these are called just events, like a single click or double click. These are called some kind of events. So how we can work with events in JavaScript or in using Vue.js, right? Okay, let me just give you an example. Let's say for instance I'll create a button right here. Let me just create a button, and I'll call this some kind of +1, and I want this button to be increment. And then let me just write a paragraph right in span tag is incrementing, sorry for the spelling mistake, with, and then I want some number right here, and then let me just create number or counter. At least for now just initial it is 0, and you can see we have a button, and the button is quite small. Let me just go to style and make it a little big. Let's just give it padding of 10 pixels on top to bottom and left right. Okay, so when I want to say for example when I click on this button, it must be increment with 1 or any number you want. So how can we do it? So we can directly say v on and then we use a directive called click or event. On click event, we basically want this counter to be plus, or we can say something like plus equal to 1. And then if I just refresh and click right here, it is not working. You just make it plus 1. If I just go back and then make it plus equal to 1, I hope this works. This has to be work. Oh yeah, this is 0. It might be working on the back end, but it is 0. So how can we do it? It's counter, refresh, and this time if I just increment it, you can see just incrementing with 1. How great it is, right? We can just create a counters very easily with the help of a single function, right? Okay, what next? We can also use some hooks, and we can combine them, but we can, if we just don't want to put v on, we can just put @, which works exactly the same way. So if we just open browser and refresh, there it is. You can see it's being incrementing with 1. Okay, so what next? For instance, we say we want to pass a method of increment, and then we'll put the hook right here, and if I just say methods, and then I have increment method that will work, and we'll create an anonymous function, and we say this has to return counter plus equal to 1. And if you just go back and then refresh, it does not work. Let me just check real quick what's going on. We want to click on this increment. Okay, and click, it's still not working. And if you just go, okay, in this case is what you do, as I mentioned, when you work with JavaScript, you should open your developer tool so you can see the console and other stuff, how what's going on. So we can see we have reference error, counter is not defined on line number 27. If I just go to 27, there's some problem. Oh yeah, we just forget to add this because we are referencing this instance, we just forget to add the data. So counter is the counter method, the counter property is inside data, so we just need to say this data counter. And if you just go back, and this time if you just refresh it, and it works exactly right. And we can even change the value. For instance, we want 5 right here. Go back, and you can see this time it's being incrementing with 5. Great. What next we have is we want to prevent our forms. Say for instance we have prevent our form or link. Basically I want to say link. So if I just say https www.google.com, and for instance I want to click to increment, or I want plus 1 right here, and let me just comment this right here. And then if I just say on click, on click, what we have to say is we use increment function. And if I just go back and then I just countered all the files. Let me just make it just like that, and paste them right here. And if I just check, and now for instance if I just click, we know that the function contains, basically if we just check the body, you can see it contains oh yeah, it's not being showing right here, but it contains the click method increment. When we basically want, when we click on 1, it must, oh now the internet connection is also off, the link is also bad. So when we want to click right here, it increments us with 1. Basically we want to prevent the link, so we have the method which is increment, which is also here, and then we want, this is a function, anonymous function, and we want to say event or e, and then we can prevent the e dot, basically e is now object, and what we want to do is I can prevent it, prevent default, and then semicolon, and then go back to browser, refresh, and there it is. You can see this time the link, it has google.com, but still it is being incrementing with 1, right? Great. So that's how it works with the methods. And then we have finally last option. Let me just create last practical work. Let me just create input type text, which is containing text. Let me just comment this real quick, and then we can even use events right here as well. So if we just say v on key up, and I want v on key up, and then I can reference, for instance, when we click on enter key, and then just work our custom function, and if I just copy the custom function right here and then paste it right here, and what it does is it returns or it alerts. Say for instance you just hit on enter, and if you just go back and refresh, let me just write something and press enter, you can see we just hit on enter, right? Okay, what next? For instance, we have on key up, if I just say ctrl, and you can even write the keywords as well, right? So if I just say enter, or we can say ctrl plus C, if you just someone press control plus C and we need to run the custom function and give him an alert that not allowed, or you can say ctrl plus C is not allowed right here, and if you just go back and refresh and write something and press control C, you can see control plus C is not allowed. So that's how we can prevent or work with keyboard keywords using VueJS. How nice and simple it is. Great, you just made it. And finally we just have to cover only one video lecture which contains around something about the VueJS components, the final lecture about components. So I'll see. Alright, welcome back and wrapping up time, right? So let's just cover some components in VueJS. And components are the very, there's quite interesting things in these frameworks like VueJS, right? Now what is component? A quick note though, a component is kind of your reusable piece where you can, once you create a component, you can just use it multiple times. Now we will first have a look on a problem, then we face a problem, then we convert the problem into components, right? So here's my Sublime up and running, and let me just give you an example of counter again. So here's a button with the value of +1, and then we have some text around. Span tag we can use, increments with, for instance, or we can say counter, and then we need a counter right here. So let me just create a element from again, and then we have data which is counter, and let me just keep it 0 for now, and if I just refresh, there it is. You can see we have counter which is 0, and then we have button. And now what we have to do is let me just add a click method here, the click event, and then I want the counter to be plus equals to 1, and if you just click here, you can see it's being incrementing with 1. Now the problem is if we just copy this 2 or 3 times and refresh, and let me just add few breaks at the end of every line. Just copy the breaks, and if we just click, you can see on a one single click every all of them are being changing. So what do you think, what could be the solution? Let me side this sidebar real quick. So the solution could be we can just change the names of the counter. For instance, this is counter, and we can just go ahead and create 4 different counters, like counter 1 equals to 0, just like that. This could work, but this is not you can see this is not a scientific or a good solution. That does not make sense. So VueJS, in that case, VueJS gives us some kind of components. We just have components we can use. These are reusable, and you can reuse them everywhere. So how we can create component? Let me just say, for instance, let me just get rid of data right here, and at the very top, after the VueJS CDN, we say view component, and then the name of the component. For instance, I can say my counter, or I can say counter, just like that. Let me just keep it counter, and then we pass an object, and this contains the props that we will be covering in the series, very basics, and then the template, right, and then the data property, and it would be this will be written something, right? Let me just make it an object. Okay, now template, what we have to do is we simply need to copy this template from here and then paste it right here, and then I think we just keep it in one line. Okay, and then if you go back and then refresh, there's nothing to show, and we need to call the component right here. The component name is my counter, and just keep it inside tags. Now this is kind of your tag, and close it. And if I just go back and refresh, you can see we got a button, but we are not getting, counter is not defined. Whereabout? Okay, first let me just wrap this inside div. This is very important when you work with components, because now we are not using the developer version, so it does not give us the real quick errors. So counter is not defined. Let me just define the counter right here and make it 0. And this time it's not working. Let me. Okay, still the counter error is not defined. We just need to get rid of this, and we need to put some function. This is called, this data is this time function. And if I just go back and refresh, and if I just press, that's great, this time it works. Right now, if I just copy this template, and I can just paste this multiple times. Let me just copy this, paste it, and save, refresh, and there it is, it works. And let me just add some breaks between them. There it is. You can see now each component is working differently. And now what's props right here? For instance, I want to add some props right here, and this is the, for instance, the button name of the button. I'm using button right now right here. Now if I just say, for instance, I want to use input, which is exactly the same. Let me just get rid of that and make the value equals to +1 and refresh. Oh, let me just make it, I think this is kind of input. We just didn't mention the type is button, so it works. And we just have a very little problem right somewhere. Oh yeah, there it is. We just have extra greater than. There it is. So if you just check it again, it works exactly the same way. So now what is props? For instance, I want to change the name of the button appearing right here. I want to change this with, for instance, I can say v. We just have v bind, and then we have value, or we can just keep it very simple, just like that. We have value, and the value is, for instance, text, and we just need to pass the text in the props. If you want to add any props right here, you just need to pass it right here, and then we'll pass it in the component as the attribute. So I can say text, and then the name of the text, which is let me just add, for instance, this is +1, and this time this is add 1, and let me just give it a fresh. There it is. You can see this is the time the button has been changing, and how great it is. How I think this is a great example of when we work with VueJS components, and this is pretty powerful, and you can just reuse them anywhere on the web page. You can see this, and you can just change the name of the button this time. For instance, make it adding 1, or you can just say it add 1 +1, just like that, right? So this is the real use of components, and these are very powerful. Okay, so once again, congratulations, you just made it. This is the end video of VueJS, and I'll recommend you to just go and work with VueJS and try to create a project. And the best way to learn is just read the official documentation. This was just kind of giving you a very quick run how we can work with VueJS, and please keep your positive reviews in this course so everyone can just enjoy this course, right? So once again, congratulations, and I wish you best of luck to start your project.
Congratulations on making it all the way to the end of our VueJS course. This is going to be our course summary and conclusion. Now, we always appreciate your reviews and your feedback. They really, really help. And I know you may have been asked for a review a few times, but we really appreciate it if you're able to add some feedback. Now, also, we got started right away with our Welcome to VueJS course, our introduction. We got started, like I said, and then we had more of an introduction to what this was. We got into some statements and loops, events and methods, components, and that was it. It was just a beginner's guide, guys, a crash course to VueJS. Hopefully you've enjoyed this, and if you want more videos, if you're looking for more, please let us know by putting that in the comments, and also by dropping down in a review saying what you liked and didn't like. That's our course summary and conclusion. Thanks again so much for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in more videos and in more classes of ours. Stay tuned, and we'll see you very soon.